What are your clients feeling when it comes to job security and financial stability?
So job security, it's more so the unknown, right? People fear the unknown. So I just talked to a client yesterday who's almost like a the biggest client is the government. They're scared to death. They're not sure if tomorrow what it'll bring. They're going to be released or let go. And what that's doing, that's affecting things around them. And what we kind of have to understand that we live in a global economy. So what happens in one area affects another area. A prime example is stocks, right? In essence, stocks are dropping. However, if you have somewhere to park cash and can wait 5 or 6 months until it bottoms out and rebound, you'll buy an AT&T, you'll buy a Coca-Cola at a discount. So those who are leaving their money in their portfolios are fearing that drop is quick. The issue is, do you have enough time to make that money back when it comes back up? When will it come back up? In '08, when this happened, I saw a gentleman lose 40% of his stock, his retirement. He was 67 years old. He'll never make that back. So he'll have to learn how to live with less or continue to work longer than expected. And I think that's truly the fear. So now people who have been dependent on the government for jobs either have to find another job or another skill set, because perhaps their government skill set doesn't translate to the public sector, or do they learn a new skill set? Do they get into something else? And at certain ages, reinventing yourself is kind of difficult for some people.
Why do you think there's so much panic about inflation, yet the government keeps saying everything is fine?
So what inflation does is make the same thing you paid $4 for yesterday, you're now paying $6 for. The problem with inflation is salaries don't keep pace. So at some point, and I had this conversation with a client she's like, well, I'm trying to save more money. There's not enough money you can save, realistically. So if you only bring in but so much, how are you saving? And things are tight already. How are you saving? The average American is one paycheck away from bankruptcy. So you have to understand that I'm already tight. How do I now make it if I have less money to get the things that I currently have? And what that hurts though, anything that's a marginal kind of sale. So give you that Sky Zone, right? Kids, that's gone, right? If you can't pay for groceries, or if you got to figure out between taking your kid to Sky Zone or paying your bills, Sky Zone's not an option. So that jobs are lost, buildings are lost. And that's why I said we're a global economy for everything that we do. One sector affects the other. Perfect example, most government is DC, federally government, right? Based out of DC. DC's housing market is being flooded. People that bought a house for $800,000, there's so many of them, they're now only selling for $600,000. So now you're losing equity. People are moving out. And then when there's too much supply, it's not moving. I have more choices. As a buyer, I have more choices. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for those who move correctly. But when you're starting to see it in firsthand, it's an issue. So fear the unknown, people understanding what their skill sets are, understanding where they make their money, how they make their money. I think that's the biggest thing. So you can hear it's okay, but you're seeing it's not. Like anybody goes to the grocery store, I laughed at the commercial. A lady went to the diner and she paid for the food and eggs, right? Because eggs are so expensive now. They're now becoming a currency. And I thought that was funny, but it's not funny from the sense of things are getting expensive and the incomes aren't matching.